All right, Jen Mooney is back with some more houseplant tips for us. If you have a plant that looks like it's dead before you toss it, watch this next story.
There are a few easy ways to bring it back to life. Here's Melissa Cole with more.
I gotta watch this.
So today we're talking about troubleshooting with your plants because issues come up.
Always.
And first thing you recommend is really getting a book. Your mom gave you this book. Tell me a little about the backstory.
So I got into houseplants forever, like over 20 years ago. So way back then, my mom gave me this book back in the 90s. And it has been my Bible ever since. Every time I buy a new plant, I go into my book, I read about the plant, it tells me what makes it successful, how it will fail, diseases it's prone to, and I have one reference for all of my plants. So if I'm ever having a problem, like with this Dieffenbachia I just had a problem with, I went into my book, I looked up different reasons that things could be happening to it, and I discovered that I'm gonna help it live instead of toss it.
All right, so some people, like me, would probably just throw the plant out. I hate to say it, but you actually, and a lot of people can do this, it's not hard, is to bring it back to life.
Yeah, so I knew this was trouble because back a few years ago I bought two of these. One just thrived, it just did great. And this one just never did right. This is called a Dieffenbachia. A dung cane is the common name for it. And I just read that sometimes it's not thriving if it's planted badly. So I think when I first got this plant, it just never had great roots. So first of all, I cut it all the way back because I learned that it will grow, it'll just regrow, and that you can root the tops. So I'm trying to root these. I repotted this. I did in fact see that the roots were bound up and they didn't look good, and I sort of, oh, that's why it hasn't done well. So I just potted this a couple days ago, cut it back. Highly recommend a good pair of bypass pruners, nice and sharp. And look, it's growing back. It's already growing. See these little sections right here?
Yeah.
That's going to be new leaves, like this.
So this is going to be a whole new plant.
Yes. So this plant that I thought was just failing miserably is really coming back to life, a whole new plant.
That's amazing.
Then these guys, I'm thinking, will probably root. And
so they'll form little roots on the bottom.
Yeah, so I could have two plants now, two whole big plants.
And then you'll repot these?
Yeah. So I'm going to repot these once they root, and then I'll have two plants.
That's incredible.
I know, I'm really excited about it.
Now to get things to root, you just keep it in water?
I've always just done plain water. When you're rooting a plant, just change out the water every day or so to keep it fresh. You don't want it to get murky and gross. And then I keep an eye on it. And usually, I mean, most plants will root if you put them in water. So I would say this would take a week or two to start pushing out roots. But then you want the roots to grow a little bit before you plant it. So maybe wait for the roots to get like 2 inches, around 2 or 3 inches. And then I've also put plants directly in soil and will also root. But I actually think it's fun to root in water because then you can watch and you can see the roots growing and it's kind of fun.
That's incredible. Yeah.
It probably would never have made it to that stage in my house.
No, because then you just think, oh, it's over. But now we know it doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be. You can follow Jen on Instagram for more helpful plant tips. She's a Jen Mooney. That's one word, Jen Mooney.